Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Living in Switzerland. This series is brought to you by Rigby. We are a staffing and project services company based in Zurich. If you or anyone you know of is looking for a new role in Switzerland, or if you're looking to hire, let us know. We'd be happy to help. The best way to do that is by going to rigby.ch/apply and filling out the form. Then, if we have anything that might be of interest, we'll gladly let you know. Today, we are joined by Livio Chistell. Livio grew up in the Swiss canton of Grischun, Graubünden, and Romansh is his mother tongue. Today, he is an anchor of the Romansh news program Teleschwart. He is always surprised that even many Swiss people have no idea about Romansh, and he's on a mission to change that. Livio, welcome to the show.
Hello.
So maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about your background.
Well, my background, I grew up in a small village in the Swiss mountains, as you said, in Grischun. I think my village has about 240 people living there, so it's very small.
Definitely, yeah.
And I grew up in Romansh, so that's just what you said. Many people don't even know that people still grow up only speaking Romansh. So I learned German in school as my first language that was not native or not their mother tongue. And then after that, English, and after that, Italian. And when I tell people that I speak Romansh when I walk around town or when I speak to my parents or whatever, they are always pretty surprised. Yeah, it's been now 11 years since I work at the Swiss radio and television and the Romansh part of it.
Okay.
And I did everything from radio, charts, and now anchoring the news program Teleschwart.
Amazing. And how did you get started with them, or what made you interested in working with them?
I've always been fascinated by television, by radio, the technological aspect, but also asking questions. It's for me very weird not to be the one asking questions here right now.
You're on the other side now.
Yeah, oh my God. No, but I've always been fascinated by that. I've always watched television and was always interested to see, where are all the cameras and stuff like that. So it was always clear to me that I wanted to go to do television one day. And then I did an apprenticeship, which is very common in Switzerland, in an office, because you cannot do an apprenticeship in radio or TV. That's just not possible. And then right after the apprenticeship, I applied for a job and for a stage, it's called.
Like a work experience type thing?
Yeah, it's work experience type thing, but you go to a school next to your work days, and then after 2 years or so, you are a qualified journalist.
Oh, okay.
If all goes well.
So like a specialized type of education for journalists.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Yes, exactly. You learn from interview techniques to ethics in media. Which rights do I have as a journalist? What rights do the people I interview have? From skills in writing, in video, in audio, all of that you learn there.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
It does. It is.
But then you decided to join RTR, so the Romansh section of Swiss news.
Exactly.
Is that just because that was just a very suitable place for you since you grew up with it? Or is there any specific reason you decided to join them?
It's a good question. I think it has always felt right to go there. I have never even really considered going anywhere else. And also the possibilities to start out at RTR are much better than in other companies. So it's, I would even say, a bit easier to get in because firstly, they promote new talent. And also, you don't have as many people speaking Romansh, so the chances that you actually get in are not bad.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is why I ended up there, basically. Yeah, but I've always wanted to go there, and it just felt right.
And do you have any insights into what it's like working there? Anything that might be different from working at another news outlet?
Yeah, now meanwhile, I also work at SRF, the German-speaking part, which is much bigger, much more people watching it as well. Yeah, everything is bigger and more complicated, which is something that I like about RTR. It's small. We are about 150 or so people working there. I'm not sure even about that, but it's very easy to communicate because there are not so many people. The ways are not that far. So if you want to do something, you can just go to the person and ask, hey, shall we do this? Do you want to do this? And they're like, yes or no. And that's something I like very much about RTR. Also, the thing about that they promote talent, which I talked about before, I like that. That's cool. I think that's very important for any company. And yeah, I'm very thankful for that. Also, RTR is a bit like a family
Hmm.
for me because I've been there for 11 years. It always feels like going home when I get into the studio there. And the people watching RTR, I also feel very connected with them as compared to the people watching my German
Right, yeah.
programs or listening to my German programs. They're like hundreds of thousands. I cannot connect with them as
Yes.
easily as the Romansh
Okay.
because they are less and I feel I know them better.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a few
And
insights.
something funny, I think, is it true that you speak Romansh, right? Day to day in the company?
Of course.
Yeah,
See,
that's something that people don't always
that's
realize, right?
no, I cannot tell you the amount of times people came up to me saying, "Oh, so you work all day, the meetings, everything, the research, you do it all in German, and then just before the show you translate it, and then you read the thing on television in Romansh." And we're like, "No, we all speak Romansh there,
Yes.
and we work in Romansh. Of course,
Mm.
when we have to do research, usually many information that we get is in German
Yes.
because Switzerland or the part we live in is very German influenced, so we have German information that comes in, but yeah, we translate that and work with that after. Yeah,
In Romansh.
it's very
Yes.
Romansh, of
Yes,
course.
definitely. So let's talk a little bit more about Romansh then. Can you tell us a little bit about what the language is?
It's the most beautiful language you will find in Switzerland. That's the most important
Okay,
thing you
of
should
course.
know. People usually say it's a mix between Italian and French with some German words sprinkled all over it.
Okay.
That's basically Romansh. So if you understand a bit of Italian, you will understand some Romansh. I haven't started learning French until a few years
Hmm.
ago, so I had barely any connection with French, but reading French was always easy for me or easier for me because the words are very similar, the grammatics are very similar as well.
Yeah.
So there are similarities when reading. Yeah.
Okay.
And
And it's
yeah,
one
what
of
else is there to
the
tell?
official or national languages of Switzerland. Which parts of
Yes,
Switzerland is it spoken in, and how many speakers might there be, do you think?
that's a good question. I think there was a study from the government and they found out that 0.5% of Swiss people speak or use Romansh daily.
Okay.
It's not a lot, it's about 35,000
Right.
people. But there are more that understand
Hmm.
it. For example, people that grew up in where Romansh is spoken mostly and maybe live in Zurich and work in a German environment.
Right.
They don't use
Yeah.
Romansh every day, but still they know it and they understand it and they speak it when they are home. So there are about 100,000 plus that understand it and use it from time to time.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been an official national language, I think 70 years plus
Okay.
or 80, I don't remember. But it was like around the Second World
Hmm.
War, and Switzerland decided to make Romansh a national
Right.
language.
Okay.
And back then, that was like very in favor all over
Okay.
Switzerland because it had to do with Swiss
Yeah.
identity. In war times, you feel like, oh my God, who are we? What are we defending?
Hmm.
And Romansh was then very much part of the Swiss identity.
Okay, that makes sense. And of course, the one question that people don't always like a lot, I get it in Swiss German sometimes. Give me a sentence in Romansh. Maybe you can say
Oh,
what
yeah.
we said before. Romansh is the prettiest language in Switzerland. How would you say that?
Romansh è il più lungatg alla Svizzera,
Amazing. Okay. Yeah, you can
right?
tell some words like language sounds a bit similar to English, even, doesn't it?
Yeah, lingua, la langue, language. Yeah, that's very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially which is also interesting. Some people always think, "Oh, you speak Romanian,
Yes.
like from Romania," and I'm like, "No," but apparently we have 70% of the words that match Romansh and Romanian. So apparently the languages are connected or similar in some way. But I don't speak Romanian. If anyone asks.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because the name of the languages sounds the same. It's a little bit confusing, maybe. All right. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of Romansh? So, where does it come from? How did it develop, maybe?
Yes, it's from the Roman times when the Romans. No, this is dangerous knowledge because I don't know it by heart.
Okay.
It's not like everyone knows this by
Of
heart.
course.
It's like not a part of our identity to know this. Oh my God, exactly where and how it
Mhm.
started. I think back when the Romans conquered the eastern part of Switzerland their language mixed with the local language, and then Romansh basically came out of that.
Okay.
And it's, I think, around 2000 years ago or so,
Okay.
or maybe even a bit more. And the thing I find very interesting is that back in the day, they used to speak English also like in Liechtenstein and in St. Gallen, all over there. In the northern eastern part of Switzerland was spoken Romansh. And Romansh grew back year by year, and now there are not a lot of regions speaking it anymore. But if you listen how you pronounce in German some places there, for example, the capital of Liechtenstein, which would be Vaduz. So in German, you would say Vaduz.
Yes.
And it's pronounced like in Romansh, because if you would pronounce it the German way, it would be Vaduz. But they say Vaduz.
Oh.
And that's like a reminiscence from Romansh in that region.
Oh, I see. That is interesting. I've always pronounced it Vaduz, but I didn't know why.
Oh, that is correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Or Sargans.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Places like that.
And do you think something about the more sort of smaller or isolated regions is related to that, to the development of Romansh? Because I think a lot of the areas are small settlements, right?
Yeah, small settlements, especially back in the day, you wouldn't travel there every day like these days. I think that's also why the language has prevailed in those valleys. It's just because it hasn't been as connected as maybe regions in the German part of Switzerland that were more connected with, I don't know, business and tourism. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you can take that even a little bit further, right? Because I've heard that there are even multiple idioms of Romansh. What are they?
Yes, exactly. That's another thing. So if you speak Romansh, you do not automatically understand everyone. We have 5 idioms in Romansh. I speak Sursilvan, which is spoken in Surselva, that is in the northern part of Grisons. There is Sutsilvan and Surmiran, which is spoken in the middle part of Grisons, and in the Engadine, like Saint Moritz and stuff, they speak Puter and Valader. And these different Romanshs have completely different grammars.
Okay.
Sometimes the same words and sometimes completely different words. So the word for spring, for example, primavera, that is very similar in all 5 idioms, but I think the word for honey or something like that is completely different in all the 5 idioms, which makes it difficult to understand each other sometimes. So since I work at RTR, we have people from all 5 Romanshs working there, which is why I'm used to hearing them and talking to those people with the other Romanshs. But I guess someone who lives in Surselva and never speaks with someone from the Engadine, maybe they have difficulties understanding each other.
Yeah, a bit like Swiss German, where the different dialects are quite distinct.
No, it's
even more?
It's more. Yeah.
Okay.
It's more. I always try to think of a good comparison, but I can't really think of any. I don't know. Maybe the most extreme Swiss German.
In the Valais. Some of them.
Like in the Valais. Yeah, but still the grammar is similar in all the Swiss German, and ours is partly completely different.
Okay, that's interesting. And is there a way to bridge that? Is there like a sort of neutral language?
There has been the idea to develop a new language 30 or 40 years ago. They started to develop Romanshantsch Grischun. And you can compare it as like a high Romansh, like the German in Switzerland. Everything that is written from the government in German is like in the High German that they speak in Germany as well. Even though most speak Swiss German in Switzerland in the German part. In Romansh, it's similar. So all the official governments, taxes, stuff is written in Romanshantsch Grischun, but no one speaks it. So I don't know anyone who really speaks it. And at RTR, when we read the news at 1 or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock on the radio, like the official news, they are in Romanshantsch Grischun, and everything that is written on our page is also in Romanshantsch Grischun. But when I host the news, I always speak Sursilvan because it's more natural.
Okay. So just the very official documents, and
it's very official, and not everyone likes the language. When they started to implement that Romanshantsch Grischun in school, so the idea was, why should we print 5 books for math in Romansh? We could also just print 1 book with 1 official language. That was the idea when they started with Romanshantsch Grischun. And the people were not amused by that. They felt that their identity was being
Oh, I
stolen when the
see.
kids were learning Romansh Grischun in school,
Okay.
which is why one village after the other abolished Romansh Grischun in school. So now it's just an official language on the cantonal
Mm-hmm.
level. Many villages still communicate like in official communications from the commune in their Alader or whatever.
All right, we'll be back after a really short break.
Are you interested in working in Switzerland? If so, we'd be happy to support you with that. Our team has many years' experience in the local market here and is working with some of the best-known employers in the country. We can help you to access opportunities and improve your chances of getting them. We can also guide you through the process of local registration, applying for permits, finding accommodation, and more. If you'd like to discuss further, please fill out the form at rigby.ch/apply, and then we'll be in touch when we have a requirement that might be of interest to you.
And now we're back. And so all 5 idioms have their own written form as well with grammar rules,
Yes.
which I
Yes.
think is what you mean in terms of the big difference between Swiss German, because the Swiss dialects don't really have written rules.
Any rules,
Yeah.
yes. I have had to learn Swiss German. So for anyone listening here that is in Switzerland now and thinks, oh gosh, I gotta learn Swiss German to communicate with those people, it is very difficult. I started out learning High German in school, and from television you would always watch German programs in High German as
Okay.
well. So my High German was pretty all right when I was young. And then when I was, I don't know, 16 or so, I made some friends that were only speaking Swiss German. And I always say that's when I really learned Swiss German. And Swiss German has been a learning curve ever since, because you have no rules. Everyone speaks it differently. Every village has a word for something, and it's confusing.
Yes.
But Romansh is pretty confusing too.
Of course, but is it more rule-based than Swiss German, do you think?
Yeah, so every Romansh has a grammar book.
Wow.
Every Romansh has a vocabulary, which is also accessible on the internet. If you type in Pledari Grond on the internet, you will find a page that can translate to all the 5 Romanshs
Oh, amazing.
and Romansh Grischun.
Yeah,
even.
we'll definitely have to link to that. And so, yeah, let's talk a little bit more about school and learning, because it sounds so interesting that you have all these different textbooks and each one is
Yes.
only for quite a small group of students. So the first language will be whatever idiom you speak in your village or town.
Exactly, yes.
And then
exactly.
I suppose pretty early on in the school career, children start learning a second language. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So when the German part in Switzerland will start learning French, which is the first language you learn, is always a national Swiss language. So in the western part of Switzerland, the French-speaking part, that would be
Yes.
German. The German-speaking part will learn French. I don't know about the Italian one. I think French or German, I don't know. And we will start learning German then.
First,
Exactly.
okay.
But it's, I don't know, 1 or 2 hours a week. The
Yeah.
rest, math, geometry, I don't know, everything else, geography, that will be in Romansh.
Okay. And that's what not everybody in Switzerland realizes.
Exactly. But I always say, imagine that you in this German part of Switzerland would have to do everything in French. That would be weird,
Yes,
right?
for sure.
It's exactly
Yeah.
the same with Romansh.
Okay. So you start by learning German, and then pretty soon you learn a second foreign language as well at school?
Pretty soon it'll be English.
Okay.
That's what it was back when I was in school,
Mhm.
which has been like, I don't know, 20 years or so, or 15. I don't know exactly how it is these days, but I think it's still the same. First German, then English, and then I think Italian, because Grisons is the only canton in Switzerland that has 3 official languages: German, Italian, and Romansh. So we will usually learn Italian before we start learning French, as compared to the rest of Switzerland or the German part that will usually learn French pretty early on.
Yeah. Okay, so that's amazing. You become almost trilingual pretty soon.
Sadly, my Italian is not amazing.
Okay.
Purtroppo. No, I learned Italian when I was, I don't know, maybe 16, 17, so pretty late. And at that age, I must confess, I had other things on my mind than learning
Of
languages.
course, yeah.
Now I feel bad about that. I wish I would have taken advantage of those lessons more
Yeah,
than I
because
did.
it's a real opportunity to grow up like that with so many languages. Something
Yes.
that's maybe a little bit unusual. So, growing up with a mother tongue that is spoken by quite a small population, so quite a niche language, what do you see as the main benefits of that?
My mom always used to say Romansh is the key to any language. And she was absolutely right about that because I started learning French 4 years ago and I had no idea about French before. And it's interesting because, as I said before, many words are very similar, so it's easy. And
Yes.
also many grammatical specialities are the same. For example, in French, you have the
Oh,
gerundif.
yes.
You have that in Romansh as well. So when we had that in school, it was like easy for me. The same in Italian. I think if I would restart learning Italian now, it would come to me pretty easily because Romansh is so similar. The disadvantage in that is, though, that I have a little bit, the languages are starting to mix in my
Yes.
head because they are also similar. When I speak to someone French, I sometimes use an Italian word
Yeah.
without realizing it. I pronounce it French.
Okay.
Or the other way around, I use a French word in Italy when I'm there. Yeah, that's the disadvantage, but I think it's a small disadvantage compared to the advantages of having Romansh and having all those languages in your head.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It doesn't impact communication that much. People might smile and then move on. They'll still understand you, which is the main thing.
Usually,
Yeah.
yes.
Are there any other challenges of growing up with a very small population-wise, a small language?
Growing up, not really, because when you grow up as a child, you are in your bubble,
Yes,
in your
of
village,
course.
and you don't really realize how many other people speak Romansh. You don't really
Yes.
care, to be honest. I think when I was young, I don't know, maybe puberty, in that age, I think I felt sometimes a bit left behind because I didn't speak German as well,
Right.
Swiss
Yeah.
German especially, and that felt sometimes a bit weird. But yeah, looking back now, of course, it's no problem. And it's interesting. So the generation of my parents, many people spoke back their Romansh and many decided not to speak it anymore because it
Oh,
wasn't as
yeah.
cool. I think these days it's a bit cooler
Mhm.
to speak Romansh, but 35 or 40 years ago, it was not as cool. And that's where many people stopped speaking Romansh and they forgot about it, which is absolutely crazy. And that's why many people of my generation don't speak Romansh, even though their parents would
Oh,
speak
right.
Romansh
Yeah.
because they never learned it. They never got given the language from the
So,
parents.
yeah, there was a kind of trend not to pass it on to the children
Yes,
anymore, but it's good to hear that's
yes.
reversing potentially now.
Oh, I don't know if it's reversing because now we are less
Yeah.
people speaking Romansh, and if our generation will have children or has children, I don't know if as many will be able to continue with the language. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting the question about how long will there be a Romansh? I can't really tell because people say Romansh is dead since forever, and it's obviously not dead yet. But I don't know when the moment of death really occurs or how that will occur. How do you decide that a language is dead? I will speak Romansh until the end of my life, so I have a good 120 years Romansh in front of me
Excellent.
still.
That sounds good. Yeah, no, definitely. People are speaking it every day, right? As we have
Yeah,
discussed, and there's even media and everything. And I guess the internet helps with that, having all these resources online makes,
that is true. I'm always amazed by people living somewhere in Finland or Japan or in the States that think, oh, Romansh is an interesting language. I will start learning it. And they will watch the videos from RTR, for example, that are in Romansh. And they will start reading books about it and learning the words. And maybe they will even come here in Grisons on a holiday and go and visit a language
oh,
course.
yes.
So we have those every summer, basically. They come here and learn some Romansh. It's always very interesting to know why. And usually it's just an interest for languages. I don't know, maybe there will be a trend for more Romansh speaking, but I doubt it.
So you briefly mentioned language classes and things like that, but what's being done to
Yes,
promote Romansh? Is there any effort to prevent this death that you talked about?
I think the government subsidizes Romansh very well. I think it's even a joke in the rest of Switzerland that Romansh is like very, we get a lot of money from the government for, I don't know, for culture, for example, for Romansh theater and music and stuff like that. So that gets promoted with money,
Okay,
of
yeah.
course. I think the work we do at RTR, at the Romansh television and radio, is very important too. I think without us, the language would be much less visible.
Yes, Sure.
because we broadcast in it every day. People listen to it every day. It's part of people's life, the Romansh, without being like, let's explain Romansh today.
Yes.
We just speak Romansh on the radio and on telly like it's normal,
Yeah.
because it is
Like
normal.
natural
And I
use.
think, yes, exactly. And that's, I think, a very important work that we do there day to day.
Definitely.
And another thing, on my TikTok, for example, I do like Romansh explainers, or on my Instagram, where I explain to the Swiss German or to the German people what Romansh is. And I'm always amazed how interested people are. As we said many times before now, that people are just not aware that Romansh is a thing. And to see that on TikTok and to hear, oh yeah, we exist and we have this and everything. We have Google in Romansh, we have our taxes in Romansh. We work every day in Romansh. That for many people is absolutely fascinating, and they love it. They love it.
Yeah,
And
it is fascinating.
many say, oh, I want to learn it.
Yeah.
And I think there's even now possibility for kids or like young adults to learn it in school. So when you are somewhere growing up in Zurich and you have Romansh parents and you speak Romansh at home, but in school you can't really speak Romansh or learn Romansh, there are now like efforts on the way to make lessons online, I think, as well.
Fantastic, yeah.
To have one lesson a week in Romansh. And I think that's coming up more and more. So these lessons for children that are not living in the classical Romansh area in Grisons.
Okay, that would be really helpful, because there might not be a teacher available in those areas.
Exactly. And especially if you have only one or two, it's just no point to start a lesson or start a class because you don't have a class. Yeah.
And I think...
So, are you motivated to learn Romansh?
Absolutely.
Good, all right.
How can I start?
Perfekt. Lu wenn sie dir discurs Romansh. Ja, nus discurin einfach Romansh, und sei mir nicht ein Problem, ne? Just say yes. Just say yes.
Yeah.
Good. Nein, Jay. Yeah, would be German.
That's right.
Jay.
There we go. Very good. And I think there's even a Romansh day or week. Is that right? Where it's promoted on Swiss-wide platforms?
There is a Romansh week because one of our Conseiller Fédéral, I don't even know the English word to that, he is from the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland, and he likes to promote the smaller languages of Switzerland. So he likes to promote the Romansh. There's like a Romansh week. It's always in February, because when Switzerland voted to make Romansh national language, that was in February as well, which is why they do it every year in February. And it's usually where you will find, for example, the embassies of Switzerland usually have an Instagram profile, and they will then post things about Romansh or videos so you can listen to it. You will have different things happening in Switzerland for the other languages that has to do with Romansh. So a cooking class or music. And now there's even a Romansh festival in Zurich.
Oh, okay.
Where, because even though Romansh is classically spoken in the valleys of Grisons, the biggest city that speaks Romansh is Zurich, because so many Romansh-speaking people live in Zurich that Zurich is the biggest Romansh city.
Oh, interesting. And the most accessible.
Someone decided to do a festival.
It will also be easy to get to for everybody who's interested.
Exactly. So they decided to do a festival in Zurich. I don't know who exactly, but with Romansh music and Romansh culture, and just a place for the Romanshs that live in Zurich, and maybe not necessarily meet every day. They will meet there. Maybe. I don't know. It's going to happen in a few weeks. I will report back.
Excellent. Yeah. Maybe there's something we can link to, an event page or something. We'll see. Yeah. So what is the best way for listeners to get more information if they're interested in learning more about Romansh, or maybe they even want to learn a little bit?
I honestly, since I never had to do that, have no idea where you would go and learn, or I think Google it and you'll find something, I'm pretty sure. I know, for example, ChatGPT speaks Romansh as well.
Oh, okay.
So you can maybe ask to translate something and then they will help you with that. But there are things you can use to learn Romansh. I don't know whether you have that like from English to Romansh. I'm sure you have like German Romansh and French Romansh. I don't think English Romansh yet.
So maybe you do need an AI model to help you with that, but you can get things translated or have a little chat.
Yes.
Okay. And how can listeners get in touch with you if they have a follow-up question?
I'm on television all the time, so you can watch me there.
That sounds good.
And that's good, right? If you want to listen in to a show with German subtitles, you can do that on rtr.com/play. My show is called Telesguard. It's the red one, I think, the red button. we will find on that page. And you can always follow me on Instagram or on TikTok. Yeah, at Livio Chistell would be the handle for that.
Excellent. Thank you.
I always say grazie fich, stay bene, which means thank you, and what
Be
does it
well.
mean, stay bene? Be well, yeah, goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, goodbye,
Yeah.
basically, yeah. Yeah, be well.
Excellent. All right, that's it for today. So thanks once again to our guest, Livio, for joining us.
It was an absolute pleasure.
And thanks to you for listening. We'll include links in the show notes to our guests and to further materials about some of the topics that we've spoken about today. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Once again, this podcast was brought to you by Rigby. We are a staffing and project services company here in Zurich. If you would like our help, either to hire or to be hired, let us know. Best way to do that is by going to rigby.ch/apply and filling out the form. You can also sign up for our newsletter at rigby.ch/newsletter to receive our Living in Switzerland guide. We'll send you 1 email per month about expat-focused news and jobs in Switzerland. So thanks, and until the next time.